What's going on, everyone? So as most of you know, today is new build day for the 2023 Season 1 build. And major part of that build is iRacing has released the Mercedes W13 Formula 1 car. It will be replacing the W12 car in the iRacing Grand Prix series in the iRacing Grand Prix Tour. And as many of you know, this is the current, or was the current, Formula One car, run by Mercedes in real life. So, um, totally different aero concept from the last car. Last car generated most of its downforce from going over the top. This car is very much about using ground effect aero, and then a little, less aero over the top of the car. Uh, Supposed to help improve dirty air issues and improve following, which it seemed to have that effect in real life. In iRacing, I don't think we're going to notice a huge difference because um, the W12 really didn't have dirty air. So it did, but it was very, very minimal. So, uh, but as far as this car goes, doesn't look like functionally a lot's changed. You go into the garage, all the settings are basically the same. Same downforce trim levels, same wing adjustments, um, same suspension and fuel, all that. Uh, Same engine and braking. I think I heard something that we have. Okay, so we have slightly more. Um, Mobility, or I guess adjustability in the brakes. Used to was limited to 54 on the brake bias, and then you could get it down to 53 by changing the brake bias fine adjustment. Um, Now it goes down to 52, minimum of 51, um, if you drop the fine brake bias adjustment all the way down. So um, quite a small changes there. Engine braking, I think, all the way up to 12. Deploy modes, same. So yeah, looks like not much has really changed on those ends. Since this car, again, works off of ground effect, the real trick is going to be getting the car low enough to the ground to generate maximum downforce. So yeah, we'll go out on track here and run a few laps just to get a feel for the car and um, see how it compares. In-car adjustments all look to be the same. Dash display is the same, so none of that has changed in any way. So
Pit lane speed limit is 50 miles per hour.
And I figured that we would do this at Barcelona, since that's where F1 will be doing their preseason testing in real life. Now, if you've watched any of my races in these cars, you know that I am not very good at this track, so I'm not going for speed. I'm sure whatever lap time I put down in reality would be way faster. I'm just working off the iRacing setup and never having driven this car. I've got to figure out its nuances. Definitely feels like the steering is slower in a lot of areas. High-speed drift's pretty decent though. Tires are finally getting up to temperature.
Your lap time was 121.6.
Yeah, that was way more stable than it would normally be in the other car. I was always especially the first couple laps. W12 was way more sketchy through there. So the thing I've noticed so far yeah, the steering doesn't, I don't know if it's that the steering doesn't feel as fast or if it's just an effect of the new tires, because these are lower profile, bigger tires. Or what, but
That lap time was 121.1.
There doesn't seem to be as much of the steering doesn't seem as quick as it did on the other cars. I don't know if that's because of the lack of downforce or the tires. This car has similar dimensions to the other one, so I doubt it's the size difference. Tires are up to temperature now. Yeah, so watch out for curbs. Curbs are bad. I mean, low ones, like these ones, not so bad. The big yellow ones are even worse in this car than they were in the old car. Continue running because I don't know if there's, I would assume there's floor damage, but we'll run a lap and see. Doesn't seem like it. Gained a little time through there. See, we're still lifting the inside tire off the ground.
That was 121.4. You're now 0.4 off your best. Sector 1 is quick, Sector 2 time is okay. Sector 3 is 0.4, slower than your best.
Shit. All right. So, that's something you're gonna have to watch out for. um, I'll say this. So one big thing is I didn't think about this initially, and then I remembered it while I was driving, but um, cold tires are going to be a much bigger deal with this car because in real life, F1 reduced the temperature on the tire blankets. So these tires start off a lot colder than the W12 did. I think it was like 150 something degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. So I want to say that's about 20 degrees colder than they were on the W12 to start. And then on top of that, this car, struggled to generate tire temperature in real life, especially in the short run or on qualifying laps. So I think for qualifying, I don't think they're going to change anything, so you're only going to get one flying lap. And so I'm thinking, for most people, it's probably going to be best to do do your out lap, use your first timed lap as a warm-up lap to get the tires up to temp, and then that second timed lap, that's going to be your only flyer. So better make it count. But in the fixed series, run 3/4 throttle on your out lap and that warm-up lap. In the open series, you can flip your ERS down to no deploy for those first two, and then flip it to qual for the actual flyer. And then obviously, everybody says be careful in the first lap, but legitimately with this car, be careful in the first lap because those tires are going to be super, super cold. We won't get a formation lap to try to warm them up any, so this car is going to drive like a dog when you that first lap. It's going to be for guys who race IndyCar. I think they're going to actually find this to be very similar to that, and they're going to acclimate to this a lot better than people who've been driving mostly this or other cars where the tires have started off pretty close to their optimal running temperature. But I will say, once the tires get going, it drives pretty well. And then we can sit here in chase mode, and it's bouncing because of the bumps in the road, but it looks like there is no porpoising effect on this car, which personally I didn't expect. You figure the real F1 simulators didn't even feature porpoising originally, so kind of wild to expect the same from iRacing. So I will say that I mean, again, I'm going to do some changes to the setups on the brakes, especially to see what we can do, because it didn't seem to brake as well getting into the heavy braking zones, and definitely didn't turn very well. Um, so I don't know if it's just one of those things that's going to change over time, and we'll have to, I think that'll get better as we adjust the brakes and aren't running the default brake settings. But understand too that you have less downforce pushing down on the car, so it's not going to slow down as quickly as the other car did, as the previous car. So you're probably going to have to back up your braking zone compared to the W12. And the other thing that I've picked up on that we saw on that last lap was on throttle oversteer. We're going to have to be a lot more careful with getting on the gas in this car, because it seems like it's really quick to spin up the tires compared to its predecessor. And again, I don't know if that's an effect of the lower amount of downforce on the rear wing compared to the previous car, or what. But yeah, overall, I like it. I think it drives okay. Like I said, I mean, I'm just going off the base iRacing setting for Barcelona, so I'm sure once we've really dug into the details a bit, that the setups will make the car handle even better. Like I was saying while I was driving, I noticed that the front end doesn't seem as pointy as the W12, and the steering seems slower, but again, like many things, it could be just the effect of less downforce on the nose. So, yeah, all in all, I gotta say, I like it. The worst parts about the car, don't exist, because the biggest thing was the porpoising into the braking zones, which caused Mercedes to have to lift their car off the ground a little more, which then caused them to lose downforce, which then made them slower than everybody else, slower than, even slower than Red Bull and Ferrari. So, since we don't seem to have porpoising in the sim, we may actually be able to run the car the way Mercedes intended to run it, and it may handle really, really well at the end of the day. So, it'll be interesting to see how things evolve over the next few months, and we're probably going to have this car for a while. So, I don't expect that we'll be getting a W14 or anything. If we do get a new car, it'd probably be after the 2026 rule changes. So, this car also proves that they definitely did get something wrong with the IR01, unfortunately. So, but I will say though that there are some improved setups on that car that have made it drive a little bit better. So I would, if you can make the time slot, it's like early Sunday morning in the U.S. I would recommend it just as something different and give those guys a hand. It could be a lot of fun. So. But yeah, this everybody was worried about the car sucking, and I honestly think that it's we don't have to worry about that. It drives pretty well, in my opinion. So, pretty excited about it. Hopefully, I have some better. On a personal note, hopefully, I can have some better results with this than I did the W12. I didn't really like the way that car drove, so hopefully this one kind of. Hopefully it fits my driving style a little bit better, and I can get past some of the issues that I was having with the other car. So yeah, that's it. That's my review, I guess you could say, of the W12. I'd say I definitely feel more confident about my feelings about it, and my
The track temperature is increasing. It's now 83 Fahrenheit.
enjoyment of driving it. If I recall correctly, my view on driving the W12, I was a little hesitant on saying how I liked it or not. So this one definitely, I feel like I'm enjoying it a lot more so far. So, like I said, we'll see how things go. Season starts next week at Fuji. That will be the first track the iRacing Grand Prix Series goes to for season one. So I'm going to do a lot more testing this week at that place to figure it out, because I did some laps there a couple seasons ago when it was on the schedule, and it didn't go well. So, and then a Grand Prix tour doesn't start until March. So, but we'll be starting off at Nürburgring, it looks like, judging on the, that's the last race on the Grand Prix Series schedule in March or February. So, yeah. Anyway, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be sure to, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, all those nice things. Comment. I respond pretty regularly to comments as well. So always appreciate the interaction, and hope to see some of y'all out there in the Grand Prix Series or Grand Prix Tour with the W13. So that'll do it. We'll catch y'all later.